I want to introduce these birds to you. But before I do that, does anyone know what kind of birds these are? You can shout it out. Yeah, right up front. I heard two parrots. I heard someone else say macaw. Both of those are right. These are parrots. You know, they're macaws as well. Both of those are right. More specifically, though, they aren't macaws. And that's because macaws are a type of parrot. And to introduce the fourth later on. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about what they're showing off right now. You saw them fly off that perch. You see these two over here flying around from site to site. You're showing off some natural behaviors, flying around, screaming. But what they're showing off when they're going after those perches are learned behaviors. That's things like flying up to those perches, or just coming out in general and joining us for the show. And they do these behaviors because we work with these birds using positive reinforcement. So as you saw Reed flew out to that perch, Nick is giving him a reward for going out there. And that's the power of positive reinforcement. They have a choice in what they want to do, and every time they make the choice to do a behavior, they get the reward for that behavior, and they're more likely to do it again in the future. So it's always amazing to see them make those choices and to do those behaviors. And there's 17 species of macaw, so it's so cool to see these four here, but I want to tell you that of those 17 species, over half of those species are disappearing every single day. And one of the biggest factors that's adding to that disappearance is the illegal pet trade. And it's crazy to think about. I mean, you see how beautiful these birds are. People often bring birds like these into their homes as pets. But I want to tell all of you here, they can be one of the most challenging pets that you could ever bring into your home. And does anyone know a reason why they can be challenging? You can shout it out once again. Yeah, I mean, I heard you say because they're wild animals, which it's kind of a broad thing, but it's a good point. They're wild animals. And what things that they do out in the wild that you wouldn't want in your home? I mean, these birds are destructive. I mean, look at Hawking out there on that T-perch, that green-winged macaw. Look how big his beak is. Those beaks are designed and modified to tear through trees and wood to build nesting cavities. So in your house, that sure number is, if you look around you right now, there's more people standing right here than there are blue-throated macaws in the wild. But I want to tell you, it's not all bad news. But before I even tell you about that, I want to encourage everyone to get up close because my favorite part is still yet to come. So come up close as you want, and have your phones and cameras out and ready because my favorite part is right around the corner. But I said, it's not all bad news. And it's due to a lot of things, you know? People all over the world have noticed these numbers disappearing and they want to make a difference. And we're actually working with an organization called the World Parrot Trust to help birds like Sammy Joe right here, the blue-throated macaw and their species, for their numbers to rise, to protect, and breed throughout their native habitat, so that we can see not just 4 birds here. We want to see skies full of macaws. I mean, can you imagine that if we could see a sky full of macaws? Well, maybe we can see that today at Disney. How amazing was that? Yeah, those are the sights and actions. And if you want to learn what you can do every single day, or in general, to help protect birds like the blue-throated macaw, or birds all over the world, you can visit the World Parrot Trust website at parrots.org, and they have a ton of useful and helpful information on what you can do in your everyday life to help species all over the world. And once again, I want to talk about that positive reinforcement. These birds made a choice to come out here and spend time with us. So it's always amazing to see that. And for making that choice, they're getting their favorite rewards. They're getting peanuts, banana chips, grapes, everything they love for coming out and spending time with us. But these birds are getting their favorite treats, and it looks like they're getting ready to say goodbye. So when they're ready, they're going to show us what they do best, and that's when they take flight.
Pero we went.
No. Well, I'm trying because if he uses his band and it says no snapper,
Forest, which is home to many shy and inclusive animals. They're also masters of camouflage. So you might not be able to see some of them right from the get-go. But don't worry, that's what I'm here for. Now on the right-hand side, far right-hand side, we're going to see two brown antelopes that have zebra-like stripes on their hindquarters and their upper legs. So you might be thinking that those okapis are related to zebra because of the stripes on their hindquarters. But they're surprisingly not related to zebra at all. But the okapi is the closest known relative to the giraffe because of its skull shape. Now, the okapi also has a very long tongue, like a giraffe, which is about 13 inches long. And if it really wanted to, the okapi could literally lick its own eyeball. Now, personally, I would not want to lick my eyeball, but whatever makes them happy, I am not one to judge. Now, they were also not known to the Western world until around 1901 because they are so good at each. Now, there are also these orangey antelopes. These are bongos. And bongos are known as the ghosts of the forest because oftentimes they're very rarely found. But as you can tell, they are definitely used to trucks. They know we're no threats with them. And my favorite thing about the bongo is if you're lucky enough to touch one day, your hands can turn the exact same colors up to that bright orange. Now, both these times, these vultures will be picking out the dead skin just like he's trying to do. He's trying to go at his tail right now. But the black vultures will actually eat the dead skin off of the hippos' backs and eat the nutrients from it that way. While these hippos also benefit because they're clean. They're being cleaned without doing any work. Those are pink-backed pelicans, and they get their name from the pink coloration that appears on their back during mating season. Now, the only way you can see that pink coloration is when their wings are completely extended, and they have a very large wingspan. Now, their wingspan is about 7 to 9 feet wide, and that's about as wide as a canopy right above your heads. But we are about to go over some Nile crocodile right now, so make sure everyone stays seated. Now, these crocodiles are about 16 to 20 feet in length, which is about half the length of the safari vehicle. Now, they also weigh about 500 pounds, and they have the capability of eating half of their body weight in just one meal. So that one meal weighs up to about 250 pounds, and lasts these guys over 2 months almost. Now we are approaching these Ankoli cattle with the very large horns, and as we get a little bit closer, you might be thinking, how in the world are those animals keeping their heads up with those very heavy horns? Well, trust me, these horns are really not that heavy, and they're pretty deceptive looks-wise, because they have a honeycomb-like structure throughout them, so like a lot of little pockets. Those pockets just allow blood to circulate throughout the horns and act like a cooling system. So blood will leave the body, go into those horns, cool down, then go right back into the body. Now each horn can be about 5 feet in length, and from tip to tip they can be around 6 feet apart. These horns are massive, but they can only weigh up to about 15 pounds total, so they're really not that heavy. And each horn only weighs about 5 to 7.5 pounds each. But just keep in mind, everyone, these animals do look really big, but just remember, we are about 6 feet off the ground right now, so they're a lot larger if we were standing right next to them. But you might know the Ankoli cattle is the Watusi cattle because the Watusi tribe domesticated them, and their society, they use them as a sign of currency. So the more cattle your family own, the rise. Go away.
Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of flies.
He lifted his head when I did that sound.
And it's also herd of white-bearded wildebeest up on the right-hand too. And every year, around 1.5 million wildebeest will migrate up to around 1,000 miles tall when they're first born. But when they're fully grown, like I said, they can be about 20 feet tall. Before I talk about these giraffes a little bit more, there are also some tan antelopes coming up on the left-hand side. Those are Patterson's elands. They also have that dewlap I was just talking about. Now, those are females, and there's also baby Patterson's eland up there as well. They're about 6 feet at the shoulder when the males are fully grown, and weigh up to about 2,000 pounds. So Patterson's elands are one of the largest and heaviest of the antelope. Now, on top of these giraffes' heads, looks like there are 2 little horns sticking out, which are called ossicones. And when they're first born, they are cartilage, which does not hurt the mother when they give birth. But as they mature, those ossicones harden and become part of their skull. So they're not horns, they're actually their bone. So the baby Patterson's eland's on the left-hand side, and it's about 4 months old. So it has quite a bit of growing to do. But now there are 3 more baby giraffes on the right-hand side. And these giraffes have very large hearts, and they're about 2 feet wide and go up to about 25 pounds. So because of this, they have very high blood pressure, so they are unable to keep their heads down for too long. And make sure that one of the largest animal hearts in general. Well, on the left-hand side, we're going to see the mandrill, the brightest monkey and the largest monkey. We can't really see their face right now, but they do have that bright red and blue complexion. Because we're in the animals' homes. For the male mandrill weighs about 100 pounds, while the females only weighs about 30 pounds. So on average. Now you can identify this one's still pretty young because his tusks are still kind of small. They're not nearly as thick as they're going to be, and nearly as long as they're going to be. And they don't get those tusks until they're about 3 to 5 years old. So I'd probably say this one's about, probably still a teenager. I'd probably say about 13 to 15 years old. So it's quite a bit growing. And notice the color of all the flamingos. And every single flamingo is born gray. So in order to turn pink, they must eat beta-carotene, which is a protein found in shrimp. So eat the shrimp and then they turn pink. Now take a look at the flamingo's legs. You're going to see this little knob right in the middle. That's in the exact same place as our knee. But that's actually their ankle. And their knees are higher than their body, hidden among all the feathers. And they're not fighting right now. They are flirting because the male is on the right and the female is looking right at us. So you can actually definitely tell the difference between the size of their bodies as well. Now, these white rhinos are about 5,000 pounds each. And they'll actually charge at each other as well, and then back off for a second when they're flirting. So it's actually a good sign. We have some baby rhinos. But that small brown antelope over there on the left-hand side is the bontebok. And in the early 19th century, there were only 17 bontebok left in the entire world. Now, a farmer decided to put them on his lands, and because of him, the bontebok are still around today, which is amazing. So there's 2 cheetahs walking around on the left-hand side as well. Now, cheetahs are the largest cat that can still purr. Once cats get a little bit larger, they gain their ability to roar. So a good general rule of thumb is taking cat naps. Get it? Now, most likely they're not going to do anything too spectacular right now because lions do rest about 16 to 20 hours out of the day. And they are most active during the early morning hours and at nighttime. So during those few hours, you may catch them up and walking around. Might hear them talk a little bit to one another. But when they do their full roar, you can hear it from 5 miles away. So very loud roar. So there's another lion that's up there, almost on like a bunk bed situation. So a great picture opportunity. Now guys, we are in the animals' homes, and these lions are extremely endangered. There are less than 20,000 lions left on the wild. But I personally think that the lionesses are more important than the males because they're the ones that do the hunting while the males hang back all day and protect their territory. And most likely they'll do the hunting during the nighttime because their eyesight increases by 6 times.
happy this newly repaired suit with your good old buddy Crash out here in a completely empty. Oh boy. Crash, where are you, Crash? What? You
Surprise!
Oh.
Guest of Pandora,
Oh.
introducing our chief test pilot. Make some noise for Scout Hooves!
Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Oh, I am not thanking you. This is your fault. What are all